Welcome back. This is still the BDTV Breakfast Show, and I'm still in the studio with Mr. Daniel Obi, and we'll be going straight to the newspaper review straight away. And the big story here on the Punch is all about the 50% tariff hike. It says Nigerians may spend 6.74 trillion naira on calls. Now, Telecoms Group insists hike should have been lower and threatened suits ahead of February implementation date. Obviously, it's not been implemented, so they're threatening that there may be a suit ahead of the implementation date in February. Another one here is still the big story. That Trump returns as 47th U.S. president, rejects transgender and illegal immigration, and this happens to be like a little bit of a good news for Nigerians because Nigerians are very anti-LGBTQ thingy. Then the court condemns media trial, denies EFCC arrest warrant request, says Otudeko others not properly served. And Onosanya goes on to say, I served with FBN with dedication and integrity. Otudeko goes on to say, I'll defend my reputation aggressively. Now, on the bottom left, says Sanwo-Olu pledges to work with new Lagos speaker, which for me is good news. Page 4 and 5, 6 killed, 3 injured in Ogun, multiple crashes. And on page 3, court adjourns Dangote Refinery's 100 billion naira suit against marketers. But let's start with, where would you like us to start from?
Let's start from the tariff increase. All right, the tariff increase we discussed earlier, you are making allusion that there may be suit before the implementation. The suit from who? The suit against who? Is it against federal government? Is it against the TECO? I don't see any suit, but if the organized private sector is going to do that, I don't see the basis. If government is implementing this, approved the 50% tariff hike for TECOs to make them stand on the good firm to provide services. So I think that is a welcome development, and we expect that the TECOs will utilize the tariff increase to improve their services. That's the bottom line we're expecting, and stand firm to provide services for Nigerians because, Lizzie, like you know, demand for services, demand for calls, demand for data is really increasing, and businesses are relying more on data to run their businesses. Therefore, we expect telcos to leverage this opportunity to improve their services so that businesses will run on a smooth note.
And I want to hear your comment on Trump. Obviously, we've had that conversation earlier on his swearing in as the 47th president of the United States, but statements on him rejecting transgender. Yesterday, he had mentioned that there are just two genders, officially male and female gender, and then also conversations around him speaking against illegal immigration. These are like top things on the policies that he has mentioned. So rejecting transgender, I'm sure that might feel like some sort of, I don't know where you stand on that, positive side, negative side. Where do you stand?
I stand.
It seems like I just had to put you on this spot.
I stand with Trump on rejection of transgender, and I believe many religious organizations and players will equally stand on this. I will stand with him on this issue. Like you said earlier, we have two genders and the male, female, isn't it? A creation of third one is what we don't know where it's coming from. Some people may not believe in God, but we believe in God. He didn't create the third one. He created the two. And I will stand with him. Trump has always been, I don't know why some people have are vast with some Trump policies. Trump is coming into, he believes he's a Christian and he's showing as a Christian, and he's going to build his on his philosophy, what he believes in.
So what does this also mean for people who people that have embraced other genders, especially in the United States? What does this mean for them? What would this mean for them?
Oh, it will, they will see themselves as especially when government, American government, when it says this will happen, and there are certain people have embraced the different gender, they will see themselves as, what is this one talking about? They see themselves possibly as inferior, and they want to fight back. Okay, they want to fight back. The position is, I don't know into thinking. The world is going dynamic, and I don't know what they're thinking in their mind to have be transgender or whatever you call it.
Because it's even beyond transgender. So there are people that identify as different things. There are people that identify as a tree. Some identify as a dog. Some identify as. Does it sound funny to you?
It does sound funny to me.
It's beyond even transgender, because the transgenders, if it's the transgenders, I think that at least you're transgender, if you're a man and you now identify as a woman, like you've changed your gender, you've gone under the cosmetic process. But there are people that identify as other things.
Yes, I'm saying.
So where do they stand? Because I wonder does this mean that, because when you're filling out documents these days, oftentimes you'd see different drop downs.
You see, Lizzie, you see, this conversation has always come up. Whether, I don't know whether that was going to come up in Nigeria. Whether some advocates, like you said, are going to advocate this, because when you see forms, you see male, female. So some advocates are saying male, female, and this or this.
Yes, because I've filled many forms that I had all those plenty drop downs, non-binary. I prefer not to identify, all of that. I've seen all of that. So they now it's already a thing where it's not just male and female.
I don't know whether when Nigeria is equally advanced, because we've been asked to sign this transgender, this sex marriage policy laws, and which the West is equally promoting, and other European countries. This is not African thing. It's not African thing, and I believe that societies in Nigeria, though there are pockets of individuals promoting this in Nigeria, but I believe that most societies in Nigeria are going to reject this. Transgender, you might want to be a woman. Transgender, you want to be dog, you want to be cow, you want to be. To me, that my values don't agree with that. Okay, I don't agree with that. But if beginning to become a norm, kind of certain areas where forms are beginning to have other binary columns, where you have male, female, I don't know. I don't know.
My concern, or what I'm thinking now is, does this mean that in the United States all of those things will have to stop? What are they going to put in place to make sure that those things are correct? Because it is really against this diversity, equity, this inclusion thing is against it.
No, listen, what if president speaks, because president and the Senate, if they buy into Trump's philosophy, ideology about this, of course, I don't know, maybe those forms that you begin to have those additional columns, maybe it will change and they begin to have two. Okay? And what that means is that those who have already gone through those processes will feel inferior. And like I said,
and then we'll go back to people feeling like minorities.
Yeah, and they begin to fight back.
Yes.
They begin to fight back. So
it's a little problematic.
Yeah, it's going to have some protests as long as Trump goes into power to implement this. There may be some protests against him. And let me tell you, some of these guys and some of these people, they're really powerful. In terms of same-sex marriage,
yes,
they are powerful.
They are.
They are powerful. Remember the former presidents of America and arguing for same-sex marriage. I don't know how they want to, but they want to fight back. But let Trump have his way. Let him have his way. To me, in line with my value, let him have his way.
Your value is complete. Yes. I like that you've stuck to something, because really, when these people, if eventually start to fight back. You've said it very correctly. They're actually powerful and they have communities that are very strong.
Yeah.
They know they don't want to take no for an answer. So I'm
But
just
but
concerned
but but
about
but, but, but the issue is,
peace.
Lizzie, the issue to me is on what earth, what triggers, what informs this transgender, what informs this transformation from one sex to another thing? What is it? Craziness of life? What actually informs it? Is it outside? Okay, some people don't believe in any religion, but is it craziness of life? But what informs it actually? Why?
I
To me,
wouldn't
it's
know.
craziness of life. It is.
Craziness of life. I wouldn't know, but the thing is,
It's
when you
craziness of
speak
life.
to these people, they have very cogent reasons. Probably they've always felt like a woman.
Or a man fellow.
They've always felt like a girl, because it's not only in old age where they where they become trans. So there are some of this Hollywood. I don't want to mention names. Some of this Hollywood
No, I think.
stars, their children
Yeah.
changed their genders from when they were young.
And you know, an unfortunate thing about it is that um, schools in the West and America are beginning to teach this.
Yes, they are teaching, even in the cartoons as
Yeah,
well.
they're beginning to
There's
teach
same
the.
sex, there's all of
Yeah,
that in
that
cartoons.
listen, it can become the
Yes.
woman, it can become a man. Yeah, they begin to teach this, and the children are imbibing this as they grow up.
And that's also one of the problems with this jackpot syndrome, because as you're also jackpot, you're also also exposing the young ones to this culture, especially because they are impressionable. So as an adult, you probably have formed your values, your opinions over time.
I totally
As
agree.
a young baby, they're already seeing this thing. So when I'm speaking to my nieces, man, they are telling me different things, of which the parents, like they try to guide them against it. But because when they go to the school, they're exposed to it, so it becomes a problem. So that's also the downside of the jackpot syndrome thing.
And like you said about this issue of transgender, I don't know policies Nigerian government or even societies are introducing to really, because to me, value system in Nigeria is fast eroding. Yeah, and when this begins to grow up in Nigeria about transgender, it can become this, where children are beginning to imbibe this, is going to spell negatively in future for Nigeria. I don't know how that will happen, but it's now beginning to, it's high time we've begun to check this in Nigeria. Even religious organizations, civil societies to begin, to make sure that we check this in school system and among children.
Well, we'll see about that. On the top right corner of the Punch newspaper, it says farmer herder crisis. More northern states adopt Ruga to curb clashes. So this is also on insecurity and all of that. So you had mentioned earlier that you wanted to commend
Yeah. You see, Lizzie, I must say, federal government presently is doing great in checkmating insecurity in various regions of Nigeria. And why is this important? Okay, because we are an agrarian economy. Okay, we depend on agriculture, and if insecurity is actually putting a stop on agriculture, it's going to spell doom for Nigeria. Okay, farmers and herders always clashing, where herders are putting their cows, okay, on the farms to eat up, and they will kill some of the farmers. Okay, farmers are afraid to go to farms, to cultivate because of insecurity and herders. So already it will not spell good for Nigerian economy. So government needs to, and I must encourage government on what it's doing, and applaud them to continue their move, continue their onslaught against insecurity, against making sure that herders and farmers issues are tackled.
And I think this is a very commendable initiative, the Ruga initiative of having making sure that they settle farmers, making sure that they've settled their family members, herder families, and just providing them with basic amenities. For me, that's really important in it, to avoid clashes, because things it's dissatisfaction that leads to some of these clashes that we see, especially in the northern states where the famine. Because if there is no settlement in those areas, we're going to have problems, because most of our agricultural produce is coming from the north.
Yeah, but the question with Ruga is, it's in the north, grazing has actually disappearing, where the cattle eat and not the cows eat, because they depend on these grasses to feed them, and it's really disappearing, and they're moving down south, to feed their cows and remain alive. Ruga issue is settlement to feed, but they need to maintain those areas. Make sure that they have grazes where the cows can, eat, and that's the major problem. Instead of moving into farmlands to destroy farms that farmers are really dependent on for their survival. It's a really economic devastation if that happens along the line. So government needs to come in here to make sure that these issues of Ruga, these issues of cattle, headers and farmers are really tackled head on, so that we can have peace and people go back to farm.
That's actually really important. This one on page 17 from the front page says that Niger explosion death toll hit 98. As at yesterday, it was about 86.
Wow.
But now it has moved on to 98, and that was my concern from the conversation we had yesterday. I was saying to myself, and I was also saying to Mohammed, who was on the seat here, that we're talking 86. We're talking about lives. What can we do to curb all of this explosion, this incessant explosion that we see every year? We have like countless numbers of explosions, trade tanker falling, exploding, and all of that. And I was saying to him rather that wasn't there supposed to be a law that said that these trailers move at night, if I'm correct? But why do they move during the daytime?
Even if they move during the daytime or during the night, explosions can occur if the tankers are not well managed. The question is,
but it's the lives that will be on the road at that time.
Some will explode, where we have rural areas where houses are closer to the roads, and the fuel will spill down the road and burn houses, even when the families are sleeping. So even if they move in the night, so the question, Lizzie, here is, how do we move our petroleum products, across the country? I think pipeline process should be an option here, of moving petroleum products instead of moving them on the roads
But the pipelines also explode, don't they?
They explode more when you tamper with them, and that's the area I'm going into.
Okay.
Because you find out that you lay pipe here from here to another region. Along the line, you see some vandals, try to tamper with the pipeline, and along the line it will explode. But I don't think if there's no tampering, I don't think there's there's an element that's low rate that it will explode on its own. Instead it will spill. If it rusts, it will spill. So what needs to be done here is to find a way of laying pipes across the regions to transport petroleum products instead of moving them along the road. Then, if meanwhile, there should be examination of tankers that move petroleum products, and the drivers that drive them were trained to drive safely and securely on the road. We know that the roads sometimes are rough, but well-trained drivers can really maneuver and take the products to the right destinations where they are meant for.
That's very true, and our heart goes out to those families that have lost their loved ones in this unfortunate incident. This other one says 6 killed, 3 injured in Ogun, multiple crashes. Now this also is a case of crashes. I think it was like vehicles, and when we're seeing cases like this often, I find it very sad. You know, we're talking about explosion, we're talking about crashes, we're talking about all of that. That's a really sad one. Now, Sanwo-Olu pledges to work with new Lagos speaker. I thought that was very heartwarming because
Yeah, you know, the former speaker was impeached about last week. Yeah, you know, some people have read meanings into the impeachment. Whatever it is, you know, this is politics across regions. But Sanwo-Olu has no choice than to work with the current speaker, you know, to make sure that the state is governed well. This is politics, like I said, and all of them. This is the situation is the assembly is check and balances, the executive and the legislature. You know, is check and balances.
yeah.
So they should be checking this. They should be checking this. You know, but coming to say he wants to work with, you know, make sure that the state is governed well. That's why I subscribe to that, and I give him thumbs up for
actually complete thumbs up to him on that. So let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper very quickly because we're running out of time. There's the big one on the Vanguard newspaper says that ahead of 2027, why opposition can't upstage ruling party. That's the big story on the Vanguard newspaper, and then it goes on to talk about the elevated inflation and as a major economic challenge. This one is a comment by Wale Edun. Trump takes oath as 47th president. Of course, we can see that the big story on every newspaper is all about Trump as well. And then I was saved by God to make America great again. I know you want to make comment on that. NCC approves 50% tariff rise for telecom operators. That's big news. In sports, Chele Okocha calls for support. But quickly on the top, Edo Gubernatorial Tribunal. Journalists attacked as DSS APC supporters clash. Now, Wabara goes on to say, I won't join issues with Wike.
Lizzie, let's take on the ahead of 2027. I know, I would like call it tensions, or would like call it groups that imagine ahead of 2027. Discussions are going on here and there ahead of 2027. But the question Vanguard says, why opposition can't upstage ruling party? You know, why is in Nigeria the challenge we have is that politicians don't appear to have a strong ideology. You know, that you want to remain in a party with an ideology and remain there forever. Okay, you know, you see politicians jumping from one political party another. There are different ideologies. There are different views they have. You know, you don't see Trump jumping from Republican to so these are the issues in Nigeria. This is why, you know, today Labour Party wins, all the politicians jump to Labour Party. PDP wins and
they move to any success.
One. That second one again is that these guys, these politicians, they want to remain relevant. You know, they don't want to lose their relevance by being in lost party. Okay, so they all move in droves to winning parties. Okay, this is why it is difficult to upstage ruling party. Secondly, is that ruling parties, you know, Nigeria has this system of you are a president, you are the power, you have control of the whole systems. You know, that's what they call state capture. State capture. These ruling parties, you know, they appoint the CJ is your man, police is your man, all the key appointments, institutions, you know, that for that ruling party. Again, the electoral body, how credible is it? You know, to what extent do Nigerians rely on the electoral body to be a fair umpire in elections? Okay, so these are the issues that make it difficult Look at Jonathan. He was fair, upstaged him. Yeah, it's there, it's there. But we need to see what happened in Ghana, happened in Nigeria, where people's votes, people speak, and it's held that way. To me.
I like the point that you mentioned about the fear of losing relevance and all of that. Why opposition can't upstage ruling parties, and some of just the sentiments that our politicians use to approach whatever it is they're doing. For me, I think that in Nigeria, one of the major challenges that we have, I think, and I'll just go back from what you've said. One of the major challenges that we have in Nigeria is the fact that we have a country where it's like people, just like you mentioned, don't have strong ideologies. It's like when we're talking America, we have the what do you call them?
Democratic
and then
Democrats
Republican.
and the Republicans.
Yeah. So, and you know their policies. You know what they stand for. But here in Nigeria, I don't want to mention all of them. We have just a lot of them. What do these parties even truly stand for? It's always like a case of, oh, today it's PDP. You can't say. So when you say you're a Democrat, when you say you're a Republican, we know the ideologies you would be speaking of. We know the policies that you'd be speaking of. But when we're talking about Nigeria, there's a truckload of them. But yeah, we know we have like maybe 3 ruling parties here in Nigeria. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Don't say 3 ruling parties. We have only 1 ruling party.
Okay, 3 major parties.
Okay, yes.
There but 1 ruling party. But do you agree that we have 3 major parties?
Others there are many political parties. There are many political parties. If you say those 3 you are trying to refer to are men, I don't. Others will say we don't men too. So they are there, depending on how they are amplified. Because I know
but what really are there? Do they really have any policies that guide them, or it's about who is there part time? Do they really have policies that guide these parties?
You see, for instance, Labour Party and PDP seem to have similar ideology about interest of the people. I think all of them too, but it depends on approach. Approach of political parties all over. Their interest is people. Their interest is development, but approach. Okay, some will come with different policies like tax. Some say no, tax is the government fund. Some will come with a different system. So depending on approach on how to move the economy forward. But in Nigeria, that's why I'm saying whether politicians have the ideology.
But they seem to be selfish in Nigeria. I think selfishness is the major problem.
You mean the politicians?
Yes.
Selfishness may not be the word, but the question is, how are they approaching development? How they are approaching development. If money is voted for projects, if money is given to constituents for development, does it go that way as spelled out? I don't know what do you mean by selfishness, corruption. I don't know, but we should see people should ask questions. This is the time in Nigeria that Nigerians should begin to ask their politicians, the voting politicians, questions on what they're doing with in terms of policies, in terms of voting, in terms of allocation of funds for state development.
And I think that's one good thing that SERAP is always doing. Socio-economic rights and accountability project. They're always calling out all of these issues from time to time, calling them to account and all of that. I think that's one project, that's one group that really, really always speaks for the masses, so to speak. Even though sometimes I'm always against them. When I say against, I'm always questioning the fact that all of this accountability that they're asking for, do they actually get responses or not?
In fact, Nigerians should begin to ask more questions. And I think
and they're beginning to do that.
The media will begin to amplify their questions to keep the politicians in check. And this is what we need to do going forward in Nigeria.
Yeah. But let's look quickly at what the Business Day paper is saying. This is Business Day television, and this is our own newspaper. So the big story on our paper says where to invest 10 million naira in 2025. Equities, fixed income seen yielding high returns. This is the big story on the Business Day newspaper today. And 5 things to change after Trump's inauguration. New US president promises to pump more oil. Panic over deportation of illegal migrants. Then again, the conversation on phone calls to cost 16.5 million as NCC hikes rate by 50%. But let's quickly just talk about where to invest 10 million in 2025.
You know why I like Business Day? Not necessarily because I'm in business, but let me tell you why I like Business Day. Business Day offers investors, offers Nigerians opportunities, shows them the compass, where they take their money to. Business Day news report broadens the mind of investors.
It does.
It broadens the mind of Nigerians to say, look at where the opportunities are. And that story is equally one of them, showing Nigerians where to invest. Because a lot of people, some Nigerians that have money, they don't know what to do with it. Okay, they say, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? But with that story, I believe that story, I've not read it, but it will provide a compass. It will provide opportunities. For instance, in yield, is it TB? Is it treasury bill? Is it stock market? Now it will tell you stocks that are doing well. It will tell you interest rate on TB. It will show you opportunities where you can invest. And this is why, in fact, Nigerians, investors across spectrum should embrace Business Day every day. Because Business Day is business.
That's a true call to action, and there's a pillar we do play on the channel that from Akiwumi Adeshina, president of AFDB, where he says that if you really mean business, you should start your day with Business Day. And it's correct.
That is
true call to action.
Oh, spot on.
True call to action, because this is where you get analysis, in-depth analysis that will guide you if you truly mean business. So you grab a copy of the Business Day newspaper. It's everywhere around you, hotels, you name it. Grab a copy, and also you can also subscribe to the Business Day Premium. That's where you get like some more premium news. You should find that. And our cartoon of the day is also something that's really special about Business Day newspaper. It's the cartoon of the day. So let's take a look at what the cartoon of the day today is showing. So that's it on the screen.
Okay.
It's something like a fuel, it's a fuel pump, so you can see the fuel price. If you can see it closely, so it has prices of 1,050 to 1,100, 1,200 to 1,003, now 1,004, and it writes going, gone.
It becomes like a bitter thing, and our cartoonist Asoko is an award winner cartoonist, and everybody comments his cartoon is a narration of many words in just a concise form, and I commend him. Here you can see the increase in prices of, even it didn't start. If you started like 8 years ago, you start from 187, 165, 187, 200. In that order, going up and down. But I think that's what triggered this is removal of fuel subsidy, where and the importation of a few. Thank God that the Dangote refinery has come on stream, and let's see how that will quality ameliorate and compete with importation of fuel. But Nigerians are adjusting, like we said earlier, about the price, fuel price increases. For you to, if you're living on mainland and you work on the island, in fact, you need about 80,000 every week, to fill your car, and that will equally that will make you adjust another lifestyles, because you have to drive it. If not, you face problems. So The price increase, Nigerians have adjusted to it, and we are still adjusting.
We're still adjusting.
We're
because
resilient.
it keeps getting adjusted every day. Just as the fuel pumps are adjusting, we are also adjusting.
We're adjusting.
But that's our cartoon of the day today. Always very punchy, very catchy, very conversational. And that's how we bring it to a close here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. Precisely our front pages. We'll be back soon for more stories. Do stay with us. And thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Obi, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Lizzie.